welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, for the Brew House out in the country, and on Heritage Hill North's location, 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York at Sweetheart Corners. I am here picture in picture in our coverage of the ACC with the Cal Golden Bears. Head football coach Justin Wilcox here with me for the first time ever, as the Atlantic Coast Conference is now on both coasts in a very interesting world that we live in now in college football. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Coach, I guess we just go first and foremost to the elephant in the room. Finding out that Cal was going to the ACC, how did you kind of take that? Okay, the Pac is not here right now, so we're going to be in a conference that's really made its hay in the Carolinas and on the other side of the country. What was your first reaction to the news?
There was a lot happening last summer and last fall when all this stuff was going down, and we were just starting the season. We found out really right, I think, day before the first game or something like that. But it was great news. Everybody here is really excited about it. Players, coaches, fan base, admin. It's a great opportunity, and we know that we're living in a time of change in college athletics and college football, and it's still changing. It'll continue to change, and we're really eager to be a part of the conference and start playing football.
Yeah, the Pac for so long as an identifier on the West Coast, and seeing USC and UCLA first go off to the Big Ten, then eventually Oregon and Washington. Then we see Arizona State, and Utah move on to the Big 12, as well as Colorado returning. Amidst all of that frenzy, what was life like on the West Coast when you were seeing this separation and just really departing in all different directions of the Pac? I mean, these are member schools that Cal knows very well. When you see the family kind of break up and all these open seats at the table, how are you reacting to that on the West Coast while it was
Yeah, I
happening?
mean, that was, I guess as an individual and somebody that grew up in the West, and I played in the conference. And you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, played in the conference and coached in the conference. It was difficult, to be honest with you, but my role here is to do what's best for Cal football, and we had to look forward. We knew there was a lot of things that were completely out of our control. So what we have to do right now is, what's best for the program, what's best for the team. And so we were really looking kind of short-term focus, and there'll be a time, and I have strong feelings about what happened and maybe why it happened and things that I've heard. And but really, I don't know if it helps anybody to talk through that now. I'm sure one day I'll sit down and unpack it, but it happened. It all happened rather quickly. And then we were really excited about joining the ACC and getting the opportunity to play a bunch of these great institutions and some, fantastic players. It's a different schedule,
Yeah.
them coming out here, us going out there. So there's some logistics involved, but, we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you played in the conference and you played out west, and like you said, you have a lot of strong feelings toward it. I have this belief, Justin, and I want to share this with you because I feel like it's weird. I'll put up the map I feel like a meteorologist sometimes when you're putting up the map and trying to figure out realignment. But around 2-3 years ago, I had made a lot of predictions, and I had predicted kind of what should have happened with the Pac to save the Pac. There's a belief that I have right now that there will be a West Coast identifier. And my mom kind of taught me from putting on General Hospital as a kid that if you don't see something die, it's not dead. And even if you see it die, it's not dead. So the Pac name isn't gone. The logo isn't gone. Is there a thought that this thing is kind of just in hiatus, but eventually at some point there could be a reemergence in the future?
Well, college football is, the power of college football is obvious, and the passion for it is obvious, and it matters to so many people. So college football is not going away. Are we in a time of change? Yeah. Is it going to keep changing? Yes. How is it going to end up? I don't exactly know. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a more regional or if that happens in the future. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. there's a lot of people I think that are working on it. That I know that are working on it, and I know that it's a complicated process that they're working through.
Yeah.
Um, when they invite me to the meeting, I'll give them my 2 cents. I've yet to be invited to that meeting, so my role right now is just like full speed ahead on Cal football, do the best we can. But I think you're on it. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people feeling like you're feeling. And when does that happen? I don't exactly know, but it's too important. It means too much to too many people. We're like I said, we're fired up to be playing in the ACC, but in how many ever years does it become regional again in some way, shape, or form? Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, because I mean, it feels. I've called it a band aid. Cal and Stanford being in the ACC, it can work for now. It's good for the ACC, good for you to have a home, but it feels like a temporary thing. I know for you as a coach, you have to look at the game, the next game up and getting your guys ready. But in the grand scheme of things, do you get a sense for that this is more of a band aid to college
Yeah,
athletics for now?
I don't know if it's a band-aid or it's just kind of how it is right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And is it temporary? I don't know, Dan. I mean, I think there's just so many potential outcomes. But I do know college football is here to stay. It ain't going anywhere. How's it going to be organized? There's a lot going on with TV contracts and things like that that drive all of this.
yeah,
But you know, our job, it's in coaching and playing. It's literally tomorrow's practice, and then the next practice, and then the first game, and this season. Because if I get caught worrying about what's going to happen 3 years from now, I'm not doing the best I can for our team. Do I have thoughts on it from time to time? Sure, I do. But I just, you know, we are living in a real short-term focus right now in our world. But I think your instincts are, probably spot on, and I just don't exactly know when. I haven't spent enough time talking to those folks to know, and it's just really out of my control.
yeah. As you come into the ACC, Cal's here for the first time ever. You got to go to kickoff. What was your experience like out in Charlotte, North Carolina, bringing some of your guys as representation for the Golden Bears? Just what it was like to bring Cal over to Charlotte.
Oh, it was great. We went out there. We spent a night out there, and then we had a full day there in Charlotte. It was a first class event. You can tell it's very, very organized, well put together. There's a number of teams, so they rotate, as you mentioned. There's a handful of teams each day, and so we were out there with Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Stanford, and us, I believe. And then they rotated us through, but it was great. I mean, people were fantastic. There's a lot of excitement in the conference. The quarterback play is top notch. You got big time coaches in the conference. The conference from top to bottom is extremely competitive.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of tightly contested games. And we're excited to play some teams for the first time, and we'll have some teams coming in here for the first time, and I think that's really cool. I think it gives us a different sense. I think there's excitement in that the firsts, and then there's also different exposure. We're going to be playing more teams, obviously, on the Eastern Seaboard, and it's different exposure for our university and our individual players, and I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, and when we look at this schedule, after you start things off out of conference with UC Davis at home, Auburn on the road, and San Diego State at home, your first ever game inside of the ACC as a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference is going to be in Tallahassee, Florida, on the road against Florida State, a team that, in my opinion, should have been in the college football playoff. Mike Norvell is a guy that I knew all 4 of his years at Memphis and obviously his whole time at Florida State. What's your take on the fact that this first game that we're going to see for Cal in the ACC will find us in Tallahassee against the team in Florida State that many people have high expectations of?
Yeah, and for good reason. I mean, they're really talented. Obviously, following up on what they did last year, incredibly impressive. Coach Norvell's a really, really good coach. You know that. So they're going to be well coached. They're going to have a ton of talent, and it'll be a great experience for our guys. Our team will be excited to go down there and compete in that environment. Playing them there, I think it's an awesome opportunity. Before we get there, we just have a lot of practices and games to play, and so when the time comes, we'll be dialed in on preparing and going down there. But obviously, they've done an exceptional job, and Coach Norvell, throughout his career, has done such a great job at his different stops, and we know they'll be loaded.
And that's on September 21st. And your first game at home as a member of the ACC is going to be in Berkeley on October 5th against the Miami Hurricanes. So you're going to get a break in between. You're going to get one of those bye weeks. Just what you could say about bringing Miami to Cal for that first ACC home game.
Yeah, I mean, again, just what a great opportunity for our team and program, our school. Having a team like, Miami coming in here will be really cool. Again, for the fans and the student body, I think that's great. We actually have some guys from Florida, so that's great as well. But I've known Coach Cristobal a while. He's got those guys rolling. So again, just another really talented team within the conference. They'll be well coached, and each and every week it's going to be like that. You get out there and we had a chance to do coaches meetings this spring and be around those guys, and really, really impressive group of coaches. And they were really welcoming and supportive of kind of getting us dialed in and helping us, the new guys, so to speak. And so a ton of respect for all of them. And whether it's Florida State or Miami or on down the list, I mean, really good coaches, and it's going to be a challenge each and every week.
I have to circle this one. November 16th on a Saturday in Berkeley, you will host my hometown of Syracuse, New York. Any thoughts on that?
Again, what a great opportunity. Them coming into town. I know it's a longer trip for them, and we got some of those as well. Everybody's gone through the logistics of all this, of, when you take off and land and where you stay in and all that. But, Coach Brown has obviously done a great job to get this opportunity, and I know how they're recruiting. They've been really, really strong recruiting and building that roster. So again, just looking at the scores of the games last year within the conference, and you see the competitiveness from top to bottom in the conference is really impressive. So each and every week we'll have our work cut out for us, and our team's going to be really excited to play. I mean, I feel strong about what we're capable of being. We got a lot of work to do before we get there, but really like our team, and we're looking forward to getting our practice in and getting to the first game.
And Coach, you look at this season, the first season in the ACC, and you talk about the logistics of going back and forth, spanning multiple time zones. And for your team this season in the 12-game regular season, you will only have 2 opportunities where you're going to have back-to-back home games. Those are going to come October 19th and 26th against NC State and out of conference against Oregon State. And then it's going to come in conference games on November 16th and November 23rd against Syracuse, and then a team you know very well in Stanford. In the makeup of this season and how things stack up, knowing that you're going to have to get your team used to some things that are atypical and multiple time zone changes, and in some cases, we're talking about teams going over 2,000 miles altogether, granted in the air, not on the ground. How do you assess how the schedule shaped up, and if you feel like it's favorable or if it's creating in this first year in the ACC maybe some extra challenge?
We love the schedule. We say that every year. I mean, we don't have any control over the schedule. We'll be fired up to compete each and every week. It's just not something that we spend a ton of time on. I know it's a popular topic for people that are engaged in college football, our fans, but it's not really anything we spend time on other than we look at it. We work on our logistics. I do like the fact that it's, the buys kind of come at the end of each month, and so there's a nice natural flow. Yeah. So we feel good about that. But in terms of the travel, shoot, man, I mean, we got the biggest plane Delta makes. We're going to be really comfortable. The planes fly really fast. When we come back, we'll pick up 3 hours coming home, so it won't be an excuse for us to not play our best. We'll be prepared for the travel. Our guys will look forward to the challenge.
Coming here from Justin Wilcox, the Cal Golden Bears head football coach, and our coverage of the Atlantic Coast Conference on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill studios. As we look at your team, Justin, obviously the transfer portal has created college football free agency. and there's a lot of names within your offense, defense, and special teams that are either, in the one at the ones, the twos, or beyond that. But we're seeing those new faces kind of all over. When we look at wide receivers, Tobias Merriweather, Mikey Matthews, as well as a left guard, Will McDonald. We look at some of the backups in the tight end world for you, as well as at quarterback with Chandler Rogers, a redshirt senior transfer. And then on the defensive side, you got a lot of guys returning, but some of those transfers coming at corner, at safety. And then when we look at place kicker as well as kickoff, and a backup punter as well as your potential returners, those are new faces as well. So you've got a mix of a lot of new coming through the transfer portal. Bring me into, you personally as a head coach, how you have tried to utilize it to your advantage, and what you think about your roster mashup of returning guys as well as a hefty addition of transfers.
Yeah, those are great points. We look at anybody in the transfer portal who has the ability to improve our team, and then we evaluate them. We get to know them. We start recruiting them, see if there's going to be a fit, both ways. And we did end up recruiting a good number of transfers that we feel like are really making our roster more and more competitive at so many positions. You mentioned a number of them, and we have some really good players returning.
Yeah.
And those players are also having to compete. I mean, the receiver room kind of jumps out, but so does the O-line room and the tight end room, the quarterback room, the DB room, the edge room, inside linebacker. I mean, there's so many places where there's a lot of competition. We're only in day 2 of fall camp right now, but I'm just telling you, I couldn't tell you the depth chart in most places. A couple spots got a pretty good idea, but there's a lot of positions. And there's some positions I couldn't tell you the first 6 or 7. I think it's just going to be so close. And this next month and throughout the season is really going to tell the story. And that's a good thing, because obviously the competition makes everybody better. But some of those guys we brought in are good football players, and we have good football players coming back. But putting those two things together, we should get the best of the best. And so I feel really good about that. But again, putting together a depth chart right now would be really kind of take a shot in the dark in a lot of spots. Again, there's a couple that we all kind of know, but the rest of them, man, it's going to be extremely competitive.
And you look at bringing in a freshman at quarterback in EJ, but beyond that, returning Fernando Mendoza, and then seeing the transfers coming in Chandler Rogers and CJ Harris. That room, by definition, when it comes to quarterback, leader of the offense, in a lot of cases, the voice of the entire team. What can you say about that quarterback room, and why you felt like with Mendoza returning, it was essential to get a couple more guys in the portal?
Yeah, well, when we entered into spring ball, I mean, we were, flirting with just having a couple. We finished the season, I should say. We finished the season, basically had one scholarship quarterback coming back, and so adding a freshman, adding a couple guys out of the transfer portal, we felt like was important. We think highly of Fernando. We love Fernando. We also think very highly of Chandler and CJ and these guys. So it's better when there's more and more depth and competition in each and every room. I like that quarterback room from top to bottom. There's more guys that can throw it than we've had, and now it's about letting that competition go sort out the depth chart. As I mentioned, Fernando came in halfway through the year and did a heck of a job for a young player. He's still learning and growing as a player. He's extremely competitive and tough and smart, and he's gotten better. I mean, it's noticeable. And so has Chandler, and CJ's done some good things in the first couple of days. EJ, the freshman's come in and done a nice job. There's a lot more guys in that room. It's because you have to have numbers in there. I mean, you can't go into the season, with one or maybe two scholarship quarterbacks. And so that was the reason we did that. And it's not an indictment on anybody. It's just the nature of that position and what's required.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, as you build toward this, and we build toward this 2024-25 season, for you, for those that don't know, right, for those that have been fans of teams inside of the ACC forever and a day, what should they know about Cal? The West Coast, obviously, your matchups with Stanford and and other teams out of conference like UC Davis and whatnot, and San Diego State that's not too far away. Of those teams inside of the ACC, when you're looking at that meat of the schedule, what should people know about the Cal Golden Bears through your mindset should be those foundational pieces that people know right off the bat?
Yeah, a team that plays really hard, team that plays smart, guys that love playing together. You know, in this environment, in college football, there is a lot of movement, and we've had it. I think we have, 40 or upwards of 50 new faces on the roster that we didn't have last fall. And so one thing I love about our team is they work really hard at getting to know each other and building some team chemistry. Like team chemistry is a skill, and it's harder in this era because there's more movement. Doesn't mean there's bad people or good people. It's just you got to get to know guys and working at that and learning how to work together and having that accountability of being able to be where you're supposed to be, do what you're supposed to do, so your team can trust you. And in the old way of college football, you were going to come in as a freshman, you work your way up, and some freshmen played, but a lot of guys were in there kind of food and water and grow them in the systems. And now it comes in and it happens really fast, and it's incumbent upon the team members and the coaches to get guys tight knit, knowing what to do, so they can go out and play together, and we can still achieve our goals. So things have changed, but I think smart guys, tough guys, they love playing football, they love playing together, play with really good energy, and there's a lot of we have a ton of respect for the teams we're going to play, but I'm also very excited about the opportunities for us to go out there and play really good football.
Before we jump into rapid fire to finish things up here, I want to hit one more note here, Coach. You're going into year number 8 at Cal. Atypical to see coaches have the amount of time that you've had with a program. We're going to say that it was 7 seasons, but in the COVID year, your team only played 4 games that season in a very unique time during the pandemic. But just what you could say about these first 7, and as we step into year number 8, what this experience has been like for you as a head coach, your first stint in Division I AFBS football as a head coach, and to have more time than most coaches get in this world.
Yeah, I would say it's been really interesting to see how it's changed. The job that I have now in many ways is so different than the job I had in 2017. And I embraced that and the changes and finding a way. Cal obviously is an unbelievable public institution, number 1 public institution in the country. We've had some great players. We've had some really great moments. We've had, I think, 16 one-score games in the last 3 years, and we've come up short way too many times. And so my job and our job is to make sure that we are finding a way to win those one-score games, because you find a way to do that, and it's through scheme, it's through recruiting, it's through competition, it's through support, it's through strength conditioning, it's everything, because the margins are so small, and we're very eager to win those. And when you do that and you end up with 8, 9, 10, 11 wins, and those things, that momentum can be a tidal wave, and that's where we're headed, and that's what we feel so strong about. And I'm excited to be a part of it. We have unbelievable guys on the team, and really proud of being associated with them, because they bring it every day. And again, college football's changed a great deal, but it's still the same game. When it comes to meetings and practice and all that stuff, it's still about ball. And I love the fact that our guys enjoy that part of it and relish that competition and improvement.
That coming from Justin Wilcox here, leading the Cal Golden Bears in their first season in the ACC here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Final piece that we do, Coach, is called Rapid Fire. It allows you and I to get to know each other and the people watching and listening to get to know us a little bit better. Coaches never get to ask questions, but on my show, we break that rule. So you can ask me anything in the world. What do you got for me?
Which game are you most looking forward to this year?
Man. So I'm going to say from your schedule specifically.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great too.
So I'm going to pick, so I'm going to pick from your schedule specifically. I'm going to say there's 2 games I circled on your schedule, and that's Cal at FSU and going up against my hometown, Cal, Syracuse at home. So I'm going to pick one on the road, one at home. But I'm excited because to me, as soon as Cal got the mention here, reached out to the staff, and, within these last few months, since this news came in, getting close to the season, I was like, I got to talk to Justin. I want to pick his brain. I want to get to know them because I've spent so much time with the coaches in the conference, and I wanted to give you that same respect. So I have circled a couple, and I'm excited for it.
All right.
So my first one back to you, Coach. If I came out to Berkeley, California, what restaurant would you bring me to as the first place to make the best impression?
Zacharys Pizza.
Oh, you didn't have to think about that. Right? Why Zacharys Pizza?
It's kind of a local pizza spot that people when they come back here or went to school here, it's either that or Top Dog. Top Dog's the local hot dogs place that's been here for a long time, but I like Zacharys Pizza. It's right down on College Avenue, and that would be it.
All right, fair enough. What's your second question for me?
Oh.
Get one more.
Who's your team to beat in the NFL this year? Who's your team that's going to take it? Who's your Super Bowl pick prior to the season starting?
Well, I think Kansas City would be the easy one to say, but I think that I'm going to give you some contenders if they stay healthy. I think Miami is a dangerous team. I think that in the NFC it's hard. In the AFC I feel like I could pick a bunch, but in the NFC it's kind of like open season, honestly. I think if I had to pick a team in the NFC, I don't think I'd pick anybody from the East. I don't think I'd pick the Niners this year. Sorry to the people out in California. I don't, NFC West, probably nobody. NFC North, maybe Green Bay could make a run. NFC South, I'm interested to see what Atlanta does, but I'm not throwing them toward the Super Bowl. I mean, if I don't pick Kansas City, I would say if they stay healthy, then the Jets have, I think, a schedule that could present 10 to 12 wins, and I think Miami is another team that I'm looking out for. But if I had to put my feet to the fire, I think Kansas City is the dynasty.
So who'd you grow up watching? Are you a Bills guy?
No, I am a card-carrying proud member of the Duval crowd with Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's from the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, my last question for you. Okay, looking at your roster right now with all your new faces, if I came out and tried out for the Cal Golden Bears, what position do you feel like right now in camp you want the most depth at that you could use another guy?
How big are you?
I'm 5'8". Definitely.
Never mind.
Go ahead.
I don't want to know. Okay.
5'8".
I would say interior defensive line, probably.
Interior defensive line. Okay.
I think that's honestly throughout college football. I think, and you see it, and I'm in this transfer world. There's just fewer guys. Interior D line and O lineman. There's just fewer human beings walking the earth that could be good at those positions, and we got some good. We like the guys in there, but I think you're always looking for more big guys that you can rotate.
Well, I could tell you that you're going to have to bring me to Zacharys Pizza because I'm going to have to gain about 200 more pounds in order to be
We'll work on it.
An interior defensive lineman. So I was thinking like maybe DB, but I'm perfect soccer height at 5'8". With that being said, Justin Wilcox, Cal Golden Bears, here for the football program as their head coach going into the 2024-25 season, first season in the ACC, and first time that we've had the blessing to have Justin Wilcox here on the show on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Justin, thank you so much, especially during training camp season here at fall camp, to spend some time with me and to bracket out some time to get to know each other. I look forward to what's to come and hopefully some FaceTime at some point, but I really do appreciate you taking the time today.
You got it. Thanks for having me on, Dan.